Is basically my soft makeup look for kind of like every day. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, which is all about educational beauty. In today's video, I'm going to show you a makeup look which is very soft and it's great for everyday wear. Now, if you do like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also hit that bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. And don't forget, I'm over on Instagram too, so you can check me there for like reels, some unboxing, generally what I get up to when I'm not filming for YouTube. Now, let's jump straight into the video. I thought this would be a good one to do because obviously we all want like an everyday easy makeup look, and I thought why not try something which is a bit softer, because ultimately if you're going for an everyday look, we don't really want it to look harsh. So majority of the time we want it to look very soft, very kind of like, you know, as natural as it can be, but not necessarily, you know, like barely there. So this is what I'm going for today. I'm using my WHIND Marrakesh Rich Moisturizer and just kind of like smoothing that all over. Gonna add a little bit of my eye cream. I am using my Drunk Elephant C Tango Multivitamin Eye Cream, and I've just put a little bit on my fingers, and I'm just literally gonna just press it along here and at the top as well. And I just kind of like smooth it upwards and outwards. And there you go, skin is kind of prepped. Next up, I'm going to apply some concealer. I'm using my Tarte Shape Tape and I'm just going to apply some on my eyelids as usual. That's just my way of kind of like prepping it. And this isn't like, I don't want you to get me wrong, I'm not doing the kind of look where it basically looks like I'm still tired because that is not what I'm going for. I'm going for a kind of like nice fresh look, but very soft, you know? I don't want to see any harsh lines anywhere. I don't want to look like I'm super caked up. I just want it to look really soft and like pretty. So I am going to be using like nice pink shades because that's pretty. I do feel like I currently am needing a bit of extra kind of like concealer because I don't understand why I've got such bad dark circles. Well, I do understand. I had like really bad sleep last night, but the night before I had really good sleep. So anyway, I just don't know why they are just not, they just turned up out of nowhere. God, I am so tired, and that is so obvious from the way that I'm speaking. Now that we've done that, what we want to do is just set it with some powder. Just going to get my Ben Nye banana powder and just got a little bit on my hand, getting my powder puff from Laura Mercier, and I'm just going to like press this in. And all that's doing is kind of like setting that eye area so that I don't need to worry about it later. And then I just get my Real Techniques brush and just kind of like brush over it to get rid of any kind of like excess powder that's there that you can see. Now I am going to do my base first, and then I'm going to move on to my eyes because the kind of eye look that I'm doing is very kind of, I'm not using dark colors, so I don't have to worry about it dropping on the rest of my face. So I am going to just apply my concealer as usual, just in these areas here. The reason I've got it in this bit here is because these dark circles are horrendous, and then this bit here is just kind of like lift it up. Now let's move on to the other area of my face, and I'm just going to use my Too Faced Born This Way concealer in Warm Beige. And I'm not going to put as much as I would usually. I'm just going to put a few kind of like dots and then spread it around because I don't want like a full coverage look, but I do want that coverage there. So all I'm doing now is just kind of like going to buff it in with a brush. So I'm using my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood complexion brush and just kind of like really smoothing that down into the face, keeping it in the areas that I've applied it, but it's just kind of like giving me really nice light coverage in those areas. So it just kind of like evens everything out. And then I'm going to go on to this under eye area and I'm just going to buff it in. Buffing this in, as I mentioned, and by buffing I mean I'm just continuously kind of like bouncing that sponge up and down, and I'm kind of moving from here all the way out, so I'm not kind of like going all over the place. So that's kind of like done. Now I've got my coverage there. Now what I want to do is just add a little bit of kind of like sculpting. So I am going to add some dark concealer, nothing crazy, like I'm literally just going to do the smallest line, so not even as much as what I usually would do. Obviously I've got to do the nose because we can't go on without the nose. So I think that's about it. I am looking for quite a soft look, so I don't want to go crazy. This may seem crazy to some of you. I don't really get that, but it's not crazy to me. So I'm just going to buff this in. I'm going to keep everything where it already is and just kind of like get that warmth there and that sculpting. Like if I'm doing a kind of like really nice evening look, which I think I've just recently done because I was doing it for a shoot, then you'll notice the difference. I apply a lot more of the concealer because it honestly keeps my foundation on all day. Like I don't have to worry about anything. Everything looks flawless literally all day. Whereas I'm going for a very soft look for this, and you know, I also do want it to last, so it's not like I want it to look soft but you know, it's gonna just come off after an hour. I do want to make sure that it does actually last. So, you know, doing this, but maybe with less, it is gonna help it to last a little bit longer. Okay, so we've kind of like done all that sculpting. Now what I wanna do is just go over with some foundation. I am gonna be using a nice foundation. I'm gonna be using the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin in number 9. I do like this foundation. I'll be honest, I didn't initially like it when I first started using it, and I kind of like put it to the back of my foundation, kind of like tray there. And then one of my friends recently mentioned it. She was like, oh, I really like it. And I don't know why. It's, you know, when someone else mentions it and you're like, you really like it. Why do you really like it? I feel like I need to use it. So I've just sprayed my sponge, by the way, with my Milk Hydro Grip Refresher spray thing. And I'm basically just gonna like put this all over. I'm just gonna like buff this foundation in. There's not actually a lot of this foundation on the sponge, so you know, I'm not like going crazy with this because I've got obviously that concealer on underneath for my kind of like coverage. I don't feel like I need to go crazy with the foundation, but I do feel like this foundation gives you a nice finish. Like, yeah, as I was saying, someone else said to me that they really liked it, and then I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then I gave it a try and I really liked it, so I was like, okay, clearly I didn't give it enough of a chance. So I'm just like bouncing it all over my face, making sure that I'm kind of like getting into all of the areas and making sure it's nice and kind of like even, and that it's nicely kind of like blended on top of the concealer that I applied. You've got to make sure you buff. If you've applied concealer underneath like I have, then you can't just smear it on top, because obviously you want to keep everything intact underneath. And the way to do that is to just basically buff it on top. Okay, let's set this. I've got a little bit of that powder, the one that I used earlier, in my hand. I'm just going to get my sponge. I'm just going to apply this on certain areas because I don't want a full kind of like matte look. I want almost like a demi-matte look. So I'm going to get my sponge. I just got the creases out of my under eyes there, by the way. So I just got the sponge and I just made sure that there were no kind of like creases there. So now that I've done this under eye area, I'm basically going to dust this away straight away. I don't really let it sit there that long. Like I don't, that literally went into my eye. I don't like kind of like bake or anything because I feel like everything starts to look super cakey after that. Like it looks fine on camera, but face to face, it doesn't look good. So you guys know that I obviously wear my hair tied back a lot, right? Just because I honestly, the main reason is because I don't want to have to like use heat products. So that's why I'm just trying to kind of like really kind of look at, oh God, I've got powder everywhere on me. Look after my hair a bit more and just, you know, I don't want to, I did kind of like ruin it a bit with all of the kind of heat. So I'm just trying not to kind of like use too much heat on it. But obviously the problem with that by not using heat is like, because my hair is like quite curly and does its own thing. It's like in between a whole load of different hair types. Because of that, it doesn't kind of, it's not naturally straight. And obviously I'm not using like heat appliances at the moment other than like a hair dryer, which is like my Dyson, which is great. Because of that, I still get a little kink in it every so often. So even when I do wear it like tied back, so you'll get this like weird kind of retro style going on, and it's really annoying. Anyway, that was just me explaining my hair. Okay, I've still got that kind of like powder on in my palm of my hand. And now what I'm doing is I'm just taking it over the rest of the face. I'm not pressing it with the sponge because if I press it with the sponge, it's going to give me amazing like kind of like staying power, but it is going to look a lot more matte. And I do want my face to look just a bit more kind of like fresh. So that's why I'm just lightly dusting it over. And you might say, well, why dust any over at all? Well, if I didn't, then I wouldn't be able to apply kind of any kind of powder products on top because it would be tacky and it would just go really patchy. You know, like if you apply bronzer, like a powder bronzer on top of foundation that hasn't been set with powder, that's where you get a patchy, muddy finish, in case you're wondering, because I've had a few people say that they don't understand why their bronzer looks like that. And then when I asked them whether they put powder on their foundation before putting bronzer, and they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's why. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, next up, I'm just gonna do my brows. This is my Benefit Precision Brow Pencil. I've started using this last few days. I've been using this and I actually really like it. Ooh, I'm all over the place. So anyway, yeah, I do really like it. So I don't know why I am surprised, but yeah, I didn't think I'd be able to find a brush, not a brush, sorry, a pencil that is actually thinner than Brow Wiz, but doesn't break. This is thinner. It is actually a lot thinner and it doesn't break. So my brows are done. I do want a little bit more volume in there. So I'm going to use my Hourglass Arch Brow Volumizing Fiber Gel. This is Soft Brunette. And I do really like this color because it kind of just it just gives me that slight kind of tint, which lightens my brows a little bit so that they kind of like match my hair. And it does genuinely make them look fuller, which I actually really like. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just kind of like not sculpt my face, but like bronze it up a little bit. And I'm going to be using my Fenty Sunstalker in Private Island. Whatever I'm going to apply for the bronzer is how much I would want it, regardless of how I do my eyes. But at least if I do this first, when I am doing my eyes, I know I can either tone it down a little bit if I can just do it to the right amount. So I'm just taking it around here, just warms up my face a little bit, and then just under my eyes, just a little bit. As usual, my Shady Biz and my Fenty 200 brush. And the way that I do my nose is I draw a little diamond and then I just kind of like take the lines up. This is honestly the quickest way. For me, I feel like there are so many other ways that I've kind of like contoured my nose before, and I feel like this is like, I just feel like I've got it now. You know, when you reach that point where you're like, okay, I've been trying to do this for so long, and then you kind of like end up changing it. You know, it works, it does the job, but then you eventually get to this point where you're like, okay, now I've nailed it. This is the way I like my nose. Just gonna use a little bit of that kind of like Tom Ford highlight and just using my finger and just putting it down the bridge and then a little bit at the tip. Okay, now for the eyes, I am using my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Dreams palette, and it's really pretty. So that's why I wanted to use this, because I want that kind of look. And I don't want to apply lashes today. I just want to keep it very soft. And I'm going to be using, let me see. I'm going to be using number 2, which is Enhance. And I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury smudge brush. Now, I don't want to put this all over my lid because it's going to make everything look dark, and I don't want everything to look dark. But what I am going to do is just kind of like apply it here where the end of the lash is, and I'm going to just kind of like, I'm pressing, I'm not really going like that, I'm just kind of like pressing it in, and then I'm kind of like slowly moving my hand upwards towards the temple so that whatever's left on the brush, so the smallest amount kind of slightly goes up, and as it's going up it's obviously fading out. So I'm just kind of like pressing. I'm not really flicking, it's the tiniest, I wouldn't even say flick, it's just like, it just moves ever so slightly as I'm lifting the brush off my skin. And then I don't go straight into the end here, because if I went straight in there with all this powder, I'm gonna get a bulk amount of it there. So I want to apply it close to the lash line, and then when I know that all of the color is on the lid there where I want it, that's when I start to like kind of like same technique but then move up towards the temple, and that's where the excess product, whatever's kind of left off that just didn't come out. Whatever's left on the brush is like, it fades up and outwards, so it's a really nice faded finish. And you can use your finger to like smudge it, you know, like so that it all looks nice and soft. It's really simple. You don't have to always go with brushes, you know, like as in for blending. Like if it's a color that you feel you can easily blend with your finger, if it's a soft look, then go for it. Use your finger. Don't be afraid to kind of like just experiment. See how you have to feel confident in your tools, right? And that includes your hands. Like, you at the end of the day know what you're doing and you know what direction you want it to go. Okay, I feel like that's enough. Now I'm going to go into 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, so now okay, so basically I'm going to use 4, which is like the shimmer. I'm actually going to get this on my finger, and I'll just like kind of put it on my finger, and this is where I'm going to go really close to my lash line there and just kind of like press it. So I'm starting from the middle and then I'm working my way in, and then whatever's left I'm just going to take on the rest of the lid. I want most of it to be really on the lash line, because when you blink you can see this really stunning kind of pink sheen and it looks really nice. I really like that. Okay, let's do it on the other side. Okay, now I'm going to go into 1, I think, and I am going to go, it's the lightest shade. I'm using my kind of eye smudger brush, and all I'm doing is just kind of like applying a little bit to the inner corner here just to open up the eye area. Really like a small amount, not a lot. I'm not filling that whole area up. I just want it to look like just a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna curl my lashes. So I'm just using my Kevin O'Quarr lash curler. And because we're not applying false lashes, I really want to make sure my lashes look nice and lifted. Now I'm obviously going to use my Byredo Space Black mascara, so let's just go in and apply this because this is the best mascara for no clumpiness. Honestly, it's literally the best one I've ever used. Now this is actually my Pillow Talk blush. So I'm going to go with this. I'm using my Sigma Spotlight Duster, which is F37. And I'm just literally kind of pressing into this. And I want to get a really nice kind of like pinkish sheen on my cheeks. This is really nice. Sometimes I wonder why I don't use stuff more often. Now this blush does give kind of like a little bit of a sheen to the cheeks. So it is kind of like, obviously makes it softer. So if you have any kind of like matte finish, it is going to help to kind of like just make it look a little bit more glowing. Okay, next up, we're going to apply some lip liner using my Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude. There's not actually a specific, by the way, I'm not like doing any kind of like, this is not a sponsored video or anything. The only reason there's a lot of Charlotte Tilbury is because I actually like the Pillow Talk collection other than the lip pencil, because I think the Iconic Nude suits me better. So yeah, I just think it's a good option for a soft kind of makeup look. Pillow Talk lipstick. Let's see how this one looks, because I don't like things to be too pink, but I do think this is a nice pink. That's nice. I don't feel like it looks like lipstick, you know, which is what I like. Now I am going to go over with a little bit of gloss. And I really do like this. This is the Pillow Talk. I didn't actually know this was the Pillow Talk one because I just picked it up because of how it looked. But it's the kind of, I think it's called a gloss oil thing. It's not called oil thing, but it's like something gloss. It'll be on the screen. Where I like to apply this is like on the peaks of the lips. So you know where you're like really kind of, they're just sticking out. That's where I like to apply it. And then I just use my finger to dab it in. And it looks more natural. It doesn't look like, whoa, there's like a slick of gloss there. I'm just gonna finish off with a little bit of spray. So I'm using my Hydro Grip. That is basically my soft makeup look for kind of like every day. Now, some of you might be thinking, I can't do that every day. Which is fine. This for me would be like a daily kind of look, and it's kind of like much, not, I wouldn't say easy, it's just quicker than my other looks, but obviously I'm slowing it down on this, so I would normally do this a lot quicker. But if you feel that, okay, you know what, I don't really need all those eyeshadows on, just use one color, or just use your finger and just swipe a little bit across your lid, and that's all you need to do. So it really is about what you think fits in with your whole style. I personally really love this because I feel like it's soft, it's not in your face. It's like a pretty look. You can wear it anywhere. You can wear this every day. Like if this for you is full on, then this is an evening look for you. But generally, you know, I would say a lot of people do wear makeup, and I think people are getting better and better at it. So this for me is like an everyday kind of like very soft glam look. So yeah, I really do hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you love this look as much as I do. It's really nice and soft and pretty. And anyway, if you do like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care and I'll see you soon.